Thank you, Dan. Good evening once again. The short-term nature of football in the Championship, reflected by the fact that Xisco Munoz appeared to be under pressure less than a week ago at a club where the merest blip can lead to a change in management. But now his team is seeking their third successive win and could even be back in the top two by this time tomorrow. Derby's targets are left lofty at the remainder of the season. Survival will just do for now. And Wayne Rooney's impact as a manager has been nothing less than impressive, which makes the Rams dangerous opponents for the Hornets here this evening. A reminder of the two sides once again. One change for Watford. Ekong coming in for Serialta at the heart of their defence. Backman in goal. Firmino, Cathcart, Ekong and Messina the back four. Cleverly, Hughes and Chalabar in midfield. Sarr, João Pedro and Seymour in attack. 5 changes for Derby. The result was better than the performance for Wayne Rooney at Wickham on Wednesday evening. The players who make well are Wengi, Clark and Forsyth. Clark is injured. Mengi and Forsyth are on the bench, as are Jozwiak and Gregory. Byrne, Edmondson, Buchanan, Bird and Roberts come into the side. It's a Derby debut for George Edmondson, who was on loan from Rangers, and also a first start for Patrick Roberts, who was also on loan from Manchester City, a player who has been on the scene now for some time but has never really been able to have a sustained run of games wherever he's been out on loan. It is Marshall in goal, Byrne, Wisdom, Edmondson and Buchanan the back four. 3 in midfield, Bird, Knight and Shinnie, with Waghorn and Roberts either side of Kazim Richards. Danny Cowley is alongside me, and we'll just have a look at Patrick Roberts, because he arrived at Manchester City from Fulham with a good deal of fanfare, but that was back in 2015 as a teenager. He's 24 now, and how much further on is he?
Well, he's had a number of loans, and I have to say he hasn't quite lived up to the potential that he obviously has. He's a really talented player, technically excellent, can go both ways, fantastic at receiving at the half turn and getting at defenders. Combination play is great, but it just hasn't quite happened for him. And sometimes when you're at these big clubs and you go out and you have these loan spells, you just can't quite, it doesn't quite fit. And obviously he had the loan spell at Norwich, which wasn't successful last season. Then he went to Middlesbrough and went there in a difficult moment. So it's been tough for him, but it's a big night for him tonight, and hopefully he could have a big influence on the Derby team.
And Tim Robinson, our referee, gets the game underway. The start of the football weekend across the TalkSport network, and here on the home of the EFL, TalkSport 2, we are at a very blustery Vicarage Road. Watford playing from left to right in the first half towards the Vicarage Road end in their yellow shirts, black shorts and black socks. Derby in their chain strip, pink shirts, black shorts and also pink socks. And it's a throw-in for Firmino on this near side, and you can hear the wind picking up in our microphones pitch side here at Vicarage Road. It is a very, very windy night, and it's going to have an impact on the way both these teams play on what is an immaculate playing surface, considering the weather and the stage of the season and the amount of games played on it.
Without doubt, the best playing surface that I've seen this season. It's fantastic, and just looking at the early part of the game, Watford are trying to make the pitch very, very big, and Will Hughes is looking to come down and get on the ball and start their play for them.
And Will Hughes, a player who has been around as well for a long time, of course, made his Derby debut as a 16-year-old. He's still only 25 years of age. He moved on to Watford to get Premier League football, of course. He's now back in the Championship, but he could be the missing link for Watford this season, Danny, because he is somebody in a team which can often be seen as a bit prosaic. He can go past people. He can see that pass.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player for me. I've seen him play a few times this season for Watford. He's been playing out on the side. He has to play centrally for me, and when he does play centrally, he can dictate the game. He's a key player for them, and I think if they can keep him fit and they can use him in this way, then certainly that's going to help them for the remainder of the season. It's interesting just watching Derby set up against Watford. Even though they're playing a 4-3-3, they're jumping Jason Knight and defending in a 4-4-2. It's going to be interesting to see that dynamic and whether they get overloaded in the central areas.
It's a throw-in for Watford on this near side. They're right, taken by Firmino. Infield towards Ekong. It's a high lofted ball which swirls around in the wind before it's headed forward by João Pedro, and on the halfway line Ismail Assar has been penalised for a nudge on Bird, and it will be a free kick for Derby County. Watford won the corresponding game. It was an awful game at Pride Park by a 0-0. Spectacular goal from João Pedro just before the finish, the only really interesting aspect of the entire game. Watford looking for their first ever league double over Derby here this evening, although Derby were victorious in the last meeting here back in November of 2014. Will Hughes was in their lineup that day, and the 2-1 victory put them top of the championship under Steve McLaren, who is just sat downstairs to our left-hand side, now part of the consultancy around the board at Pride Park. Had a quick word with him. I said things are going well, and he said ask me again at 10 o'clock, which is typical football talk. 3 minutes played, 0-0 the scoreline here at Vicarage Road. Cisco Munoz suited and booted just outside the Watford technical area, and he's done okay so far. Of course, he came with very little fanfare after winning the Georgian title with Dynamo Tbilisi. 6 wins, 2 draws and 2 defeats, 7 clean sheets in that as well. But have we seen a spectacular change in the style of play compared to what they had previously, when clearly it wasn't deemed to be good enough?
Well, this time last week you would have said no,
yeah.
Although they've had a fantastic week. And I have to say, I watched them this morning play Bristol City, so I watched that game back, and it's by far the best I've seen Watford, you know, and it was very much the changing system.
Here is Sarr now down the right-hand side, found by Firmino inside the area, but the ball just dribbles away from him, and it's gone behind for a goal kick. And we both covered for television that the match at Coventry, in which Watford drew 0-0, that was a real dog of a game as well, and you looked at that Watford team and you thought that's not a team to get promotion, but clearly they've had a rethink, change of personnel, change in attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I watched the game against Coventry, and it was almost like they were 4-2-4 on the night, and it just gave far too much work for the midfield too. They weren't able to get control of possession, and as a consequence they really struggled in the game. They've gone to the 4-3-3. It suits them so much better. It allows them to get Will Hughes back into the middle of the pitch, and it allows him to get on the ball. I think it suits Chalobah and Cleverley, and it certainly helps the wide players, because it gives the wide players a little bit more license to play higher up, to get up with Pedro and support him.
5 minutes played, 0-0 here at Vicarage Road. Danny Cowley, the former Lincoln and Huddersfield manager, with us here on TalkSport 2, and we have more championship action coming up tomorrow. Interesting 12:30 game now. Coventry towards the bottom of the league, and Brentford looking to cement their position in the top 2 after back-to-back defeats. That's at 12:30, and then at 3 o'clock 2 of the bottom 3 meeting at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday against Birmingham, as Derby look to build on this near side, and Jason Knight has won a throw-in, and it will be taken by the teenager Lee Buchanan. Derby have had a very good academy in recent years, and the challenge comes in on Knight from Chalobah, and Derby were convinced they should have had a free kick, but Tim Robinson allows play to continue, and now Seymour is pressurising Byrne on the far side, which is the Watford left, but Derby worked the ball around neatly, and Shinnie looked to pick out Waghorn to the left-hand side, but again it was cut out by Chalobah. It's infield again in the central area for Patrick Roberts, who looks to ride a couple of challenges, but then loses out to the third one, and Watford win the ball back again. Will Hughes all the way back towards Ekong. 6.5 minutes played here. Watford 0, Derby 0. Watford 4th in the table, 3 points behind Brentford, and also 6 goals worse off in terms of the goal difference, but they have the best home record in the championship, 35 points, 11 wins, 2 draws and 2 defeats. Derby down in 17th, but now 6 points clear of danger, and 18 of their 34 points so far have come away from home. And there was no doubt that Wayne Rooney has had the new manager bounce. They were bottom of the table, 6 points adrift of safety when he took over in permanent charge, and now they are looking towards those above them. Here is Ekong inside the centre circle for Watford. Look to his right hand side and Firmino, but instead it's the blonde-haired Will Hughes out on the far side. Now Cathcart There have been so many central defensive partnerships for Watford so far this season. Chalobah wide towards Firmino, and then Sarr on this near side plays it back to Firmino, spins in behind you, Buchanan drives in across into the penalty area, headed away by Wisdom at the near post, and there's an opportunity now for Derby to break. Jason Knight showing plenty of pace on this near side, needed support, he was challenged by Akon, and in the end a throw-in goes to Derby.
Jason Knight just showing his dynamism. He's a really athletic boy, full of energy, that sort of youthful exuberance, and certainly, you know, he's very, very good against the ball, and he gives you a counter threat with it as well. And just really interesting just seeing how this game is setting up. Like I said, Derby are pressing with a 2, seeing Will Hughes coming out into the false fullback positions, so they get the +1 on the defensive line, and Watford have had some good control up to now.
Now Wisdom, who scored his first league goal in 200 games for Derby in added time to win the match at Wycombe on Tuesday, infield to Max Bird. Shinnie has to turn and under pressure finds Edmondson, and now it's wide towards Buchanan once again, and Derby not quite finding their passing range in the early stages. Buchanan's ball forward is quickly cut out by Hughes, and Watford look to Ismail Assar just in front of us on this near side, but the challenge comes in from Edmondson, and that will be a throw-in to Watford on this near side. And Danny, it's going to be a real test for a young player, Buchanan, up against Sarr.
You're taking the words straight out of my mouth, Nigel. I think the game's going to be won and lost on this side of the pitch, actually, because you've got young George Edmondson, who I saw a lot of when he was at Oldham, got a fantastic move to Rangers. He's obviously now bounced out to Derby on loan. Derby will no doubt miss Matt Clark, because he's been a real key player for them over the last 2 seasons, obviously on loan from Brighton, but he gives them that left-footed balance. George is a right-footer playing on the left, and young Buchanan, who is fantastic going forward. Derby have tended to use him more as a wing-back when they've used a back 3, not so much as a back 4. Tonight's going to be a huge game for him defensively.
Buchanan, infield again towards Edmondson, making his Derby debut here tonight. And Wayne Rooney changing 3/4 of his back 4. Of course, that Matt Clark change was in force, but both of the fullbacks have been left out following that win against Wycombe, although that always looked to be the plan this week, with Wayne Rooney looking to manage his resources, as Roberts has been challenged and fouled on the far side, just brushes his long hair back behind the Alice band, and Derby will look to get moving again. Edmondson in the central area, forward towards Shinnie, one of 2 footballing brothers who've been operating in the Championship for some time, but his brother Andrew now has just dropped down to League One with Charlton on loan from Luton. Wisdom again, wide towards the far side, and Byrne, a fullback who loves to get forward, and now Roberts looks to play the ball down the channel looking for Byrne, who stayed where he was on the right hand side. Roberts apologises, and it's gathered by Batten.
Yeah, it's just the areas you want to get Patrick Roberts on the ball, in those little half spaces, looking to try to combine and link, and unfortunately got him in a good area there and just was a little bit wasteful with his pass.
Nearly 11 minutes played at Vicarage Road on TalkSport 2. It is Watford 0, Derby 0. Watford looking to close the gap on the top 2. Derby looking to put more distance between themselves and the bottom 3. But they are one of the form sides in the Championship. 5 wins in their last 6, all by a single goal. And their last 2 losses have both come against Rotherham, including that 3-0 defeat at the New York Stadium, which is the only blemish on their recent winning streak. Now Sarr on this near side again. Chalobah looks to hold off Knight and seemed to put an arm into his face there as he headed towards the Derby goal, but the Rams win it back, and then a free kick's given for a challenge on this near side on Ken Seymour.
As soon as Ismail Sarr gets on the ball, how quickly Shinnie gets across, slides across and doubles up and helps Buchanan. It's going to be really important that Derby stop Watford's right hand side.
Wayne Rooney just turning back to his backroom team. Liam Rossignol down there, hit it up against the cold on what is an increasingly chilly evening here in Hertfordshire. Free kick which Tom Cleverley is over, and everybody's back defending here for Derby. Cleverley high to the far side, Byrne rising to head the ball away. It's recovered by Messina, but then Kazim Richards looks to knock it down the line, and it's Byrne who will gather, and there's the opportunity for Derby to try and counter-attack. Roberts back in field again towards Byrne. There's the switch of play wide to this left-hand side, and Shinnie on towards Waghorn again, infield towards Buchanan, and it's neat and tidy from Derby, but they're just lacking that pace at the crucial time there to really put Watford under pressure.
Yeah, I think Derby probably do lack pace, as you say, Nigel, in that top end of the pitch. Kazim Richards now is going to play with his back to goal and not really stretch the pitch. Waghorn is not really playing for his athleticism, and even Patrick Roberts is one of these that comes to the ball rather than looking to go and penetrate behind. So that is definitely an issue for Derby going forward.
But eyebrows were raised when Colin Kazim Richards was signed. It was announced during the game against Watford back in October. 34 years of age, he's played in 8 different nations. He was most recently in Mexico with Pachuca, also played for both of the Istanbul Giants, Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, Feyenoord, Celtic and Corinthians in Brazil. So he's got a hell of a CV, but he's doing the job, isn't he?
Well, he's certainly well travelled. He's been fantastic for them. Yeah, he's been powerful. He's kept the ball up the pitch for them. He's been able to bring players into the game, and he's also carried goal threat. So it was a surprising signing at the time. It's been a really effective one, and certainly, he's been inspired by Wayne Rooney since he took over.
He scored 3 in his last 5 games, Colin Kazim Richards, and they've all been winning goals as well, so they've carried a real value in Derby's survival battle. Now Roberts. Hughes on the far side, the Derby right, looking for Byrne on the overlap. Byrne, though, unable to gather. It was cut out by Messina. It was the right sort of ball from Roberts. He then closes down the clearance from Hughes. Byrne is strong enough to win it from Seymour. And Derby look to move forward now down this left-hand side. 14 minutes played. 0-0 here at Vicarage Road on TalkSport 2. Of the EFL. Game day tomorrow across the TalkSport network, with 5 commentaries in total over on TalkSport. Clive Tilsley and Alvin Martin will bring you Southampton against Chelsea at 12:30. Adrian Durham has all the goals as they go in, live from Turf Moor and Game Day Live. Then it's the Merseyside derby at 5:30. Steve McMahon and Kevin Ratcliffe alongside Sam Matterface will be refereeing in the press box as well. And then Fulham against Sheffield United here on TalkSport 2 with Joe Shannon and David Connolly. That's a crucial game between 2 of the bottom 3 in the Premier League. I saw Fulham play Burnley on Wednesday evening. It was another missed opportunity for a side who simply don't score enough goals and add goals to what are some fairly impressive performances. Watford at times have been the complete opposite this season. They've got away with some poor performances but got the wins.
They have. They've been efficient. Obviously, their home form has been excellent and been key to them. Away from home, they've found it difficult, and whether that's mentality, I'm not so sure. Definitely the change in managers. They've lacked identity up until the recent games.
Vladimir Ivic was dismissed in December, and things in terms of results have been okay as a whole, but there was a sense that matters may be beginning to drift, and Cisco Munoz came in. He's the 14th manager since the Pozzo family bought the club back in 2012, and Javi Gracia and Gianfranco Zola are the longest serving managers in that time, and they've both taken charge of 66 games. It's not quite the project that you talk about at times, Danny, is it?
No, it's a unique football club, isn't it? And they've got a unique philosophy when it comes to managers. We spoke pre-game about player power, and it's no surprise that there's player power when you change your managers as frequently as Watford do.
But at the moment, they look to have a sort of formation which could get them results on a short-term basis to push them back towards the top 2. And they do have a couple of injury problems as well, notably Troy Deeney, their captain, who is out for a lengthy period with an Achilles injury. Of course, he is such an influence on and off the field at Vicarage Road. The play's been stopped because we had 2 balls on the pitch, and of course very few people are inside the stadium, so a ball boy had to come halfway around the pitch to just gather the ball on this near side and get it sanitised for future use. And we played 17 minutes, and neither goalkeeper has really had a shot to save here so far. Akong will go back towards Daniel Bachmann. Spoke to him before kick-off on TalkSport 2, and he's really enjoying his run of starts in the first team after being very patient. The injury for Ben Foster has given him the opportunity. Shinnie now leaping with Cleverley. They both collide inside the centre circle, but it was a wholehearted challenge from both players, and players allowed to continue. And now Sarr has it for Watford on this near side, infield towards Firmino, and it's inside Buchanan looking for Sarr, who gets there, and it's flicked towards goal, and the ball has gone in over the line, and João Pedro will claim it. It was a very clever finish from the young Brazilian. The burst of pace from Ismaila Sarr made it a low ball in, and the ball was behind João Pedro, but somehow he managed to flick the ball in between his legs beyond Marshall, and it's Watford 1, Derby 0.
Fantastic play down the right hand side for Watford. We said this could be the issue for Derby, and Sarr, just the pace and the athleticism, out to in run, gets behind Buchanan, and Pedro, it's a great finish because he's actually behind him and he flicks. I think it's a great finish. I'm not sure. I'm just watching the highlights as we speak, and actually I think the Derby defender Wisdom actually plays it onto the heel of Pedro, and it goes in. So it's actually a fortunate finish for Pedro. When I saw it live, it looked like it was a really audacious flick, but actually it was a little bit of luck. But it was all about Ismaila Sarr. I mean, we said this right-hand side was going to be key for Watford, and they got a turnover. Will Hughes turned the ball over in his own half, and then the attack developed down the right-hand side, and Buchanan just got a little bit too square and a little bit too tight to Ismaila Sarr, and you just can't do that. He's one of these players you have to sag off against.
Well, João Pedro scored the only goal at Pride Park back in October, and he scored the opening goal here this evening on TalkSport 2, and he now lays it wide to Ismaila Sarr again. High cross into the penalty area, and it's headed behind by Edmondson, and Watford have the game's first corner with nearly 20 minutes played, leading here by a 1-0. And in that situation, Danny, do you maybe look at Wisdom and think the clearance needs to be more conclusive, or is it simply just a jumble of bodies at the near post?
I think the attack developed so quickly that Wisdom's trying to get across and cut off the space. Obviously Wisdom's playing on the right side of the Derby defence, and he's had to get right across to cover George Edmondson, so he's had a lot of space to cover, but you would like to see him clear that with the side of his foot and maybe out for a corner.
Will Hughes, the corner hangs in the wind on the edge of the 6-yard area, and it's won back by Cleverley now. Chalabar back heels it to Hughes inside the area, left-footed shot from him, and it's a brilliant goal for Will Hughes, who scores against his former club with some style. 2 goals in 2 minutes for Watford, and they are heading straight back into the picture for automatic promotion once again. Derby trailed by 2-0. 2
weeks is a long time in football, and we would have watched them play Coventry 13 days ago, and they looked devoid of ideas, lacked identity, and 3 games later, and the confidence that is oozing out the Watford team, just so much better balance, and it's just amazing, isn't it? Troy Deeney, who's been such a key player, picks up an injury, and the dynamic of the team changes dramatically on the system change. Fantastic finish with his left foot, Will Hughes, and he's a boy that can start play, create chances, and score goals. That's 2 goals in 3 games for him.
Well, his first goal in his career was against Watford back in September of 2012 when he was a 17-year-old, and his latest one has now come against his former club Derby. João Pedro almost lunged in to get a touch on the goal line, but it was Will Hughes' goal, and very quickly Watford have taken a firm grip on this game, leading by 2-0, and all of Derby's recent good work away from home, 4 clean sheets in 7, has been quickly undone.
Yeah, they're playing with real confidence now. They've got a real rhythm to their play. Will Hughes is dictating. He keeps coming back into these false full-back positions. They're getting the 3v2 Watford, and they're able to keep breaking the first line of Derby's defence. And if they can keep getting quick ball out to this right hand side, they're going to be a big threat to Derby this evening.
Now it's wide towards Messina, down the left-hand side, onto Seymour, flicked in field by Seymour, looking for Messina, but it's cleared away by Wisdom, and Derby arguably were offering more going forward before those 2 goals, but now Knight has got time down the left-hand side to chase forward. Okong has been drawn out of the centre to try and deal with him, so the space in field for Shinnie up towards the edge of the penalty area. Knight again, now Shinnie. Shinnie is quickly challenged by Cleverly, but it falls kindly for Buchanan, who looks to break into the box, and Hughes comes back to make the challenge at the expense of Derby's first corner. 23 minutes played, Watford lead by 2-0.
Really good break from Buchanan, and he needs to keep doing that when he can and trying to get up and supporting, because he knows Sarr's not going to come back. And it's going to be interesting now. Derby have run the same corner, they're just setting it up now. They scored against Rotherham and against Wycombe. They were a little bit fortuitous against Wycombe, because it was actually an own goal by the Wycombe player, but they're all setting up on the corner of the far elbow of the box. They actually end up playing this one short, but it's a really interesting tactic that they use. They use it against the zonal defence, and they just look to really overload the back post, and like I said, it's been very effective to this point.
Buchanan will take the throw-in on this near side, and it's down the line for Knight again, in field to Roberts, who is still on the left following the corner, tries a trick but gives the ball away cheaply, and Sarr again. So much pace on this near side, just unable to keep the ball in play, and Derby will have a throw-in. Lee Buchanan at times doesn't know if he's coming or going in this game. He looks to get forward, that's his natural instinct, but Ismail Yastar is stealing past him the other way.
It's very difficult for him, as you say. Naturally for Lee Buchanan, he wants to get forward, and he's a modern day fullback that wants to get on the overlap, but he's got to be very careful leaving too much space behind him, because Sarr just so wonderful to watch.
Now Cleverly plays it over the top, looking for Seymour, who's allowed to control the ball inside the area. It held up in the wind for him. Seymour now is challenged by Wisdom. The back heel will find Cleverly, and it's Seymour again now. And Derby all over the place defensively at times. Patrick Roberts has hold of Seymour's shirt. The referee allows play to continue as Messina finds Sarr now. Sarr wide to Firmino. He can deliver a high cross into the penalty area, which goes right through the 6-yard box. Chalabar and Zhao both outstretched boots to try and divert the ball in, but it's gone behind for a goal kick. And if you're Wayne Rooney, you are wondering what on earth is going on.
Well, what a cross that was, right across the front of the Derby defenders, and it just needed a touch from a Watford player, and it would have been 3-0. Yeah, it's been a really difficult start. They're having real huge problems on their on Derby's left-hand side. Obviously, it's a young left-hand side. It's a new relationship, and they certainly need some help at the moment.
It's a dry night here in Hertfordshire, but the game is being dominated by the wind. We've seen a couple of long balls forward for Watford hold up, and it's causing problems for the defenders, who set themselves on clearance and then realise the ball is dropping in a different area. Messina in field again towards Okong. 26 minutes played. In time, Chalabar played the long ball forward, and again the ball just drifted in the elements, and João Pedro not too far away. And it just shows I know they've scored the goals tonight, João Pedro and Hughes, but it's that energy which has given Watford a different dimension.
They just look a completely different team to the one that we saw playing 4-4-2 with Troy Deeney and Gray up front. So much more mobile, so much more dynamic. You know, they're playing through Derby, but they're also playing over Derby, and they're causing them huge problems at the moment. And Derby just need to hang in there and try to get through this period, and then get some control in the game themselves.
Marshall, wearing all orange, clears long downfield. Kazim Richards loses out to Okong, and it's guarded back by Firmino to Daniel Bachmann, who has barely had anything to do in the game so far. Just going back to the second goal, Danny. Derby dealt with it initially, but as a manager, would you be disappointed at how quickly they came out? Because there were 3 Watford players down here, and no pink shirts were anywhere near them.
No, they didn't react. You see so many goals scored, not always from the set piece, but from the second phase. And defending that second phase is so important. And there would have been organisation and people not doing their jobs for the team there, because they just didn't get out and get enough pressure on the ball. And you cannot leave. You know, it was a great flick that gave Will Hughes the time, but you can't give Will Hughes that time and space in the penalty area.
Now Kong plays it square to Cathcart, the Northern Ireland international. Scored the first championship goal of the season here, live on TalkSport 2 against Middlesbrough back in September. Everton on the stretch, just about wins the ball from Sarr on the edge of the penalty area. It was quickly challenged by João Pedro. Now Kazim Richards plays it over the top, looking for Waghorn, but the service was way overhit into the arms of Bachmann.
Watford are in the groove though, aren't they? Just see the speed of the ball and moving the ball so quickly on such a lovely surface. And it's so lucky we've got this surface, because particularly the overhead conditions, if the pitch wasn't as good as it is, it could end up being a real battle. It's a really good football match at the moment.
The ball is kicked by again, and quickly ball the ball out to find Bird. Derby, to their credit, are looking to set a rapid tempo here themselves with 28 minutes played, already 2 down. Roberts makes the run up towards the edge of the penalty area, but he invites the challenge from Will Hughes, who just nips it off his toes, and Tom cleverly has it wide on the far side again.
Yeah, Roberts just coming inside. He had Byrne coming on the outside, and it could be a really nice combination that, but Roberts decided to go on his own and just probably the wrong decision in that moment.
Ekong, square towards Cathcart. As the wind just drops for a moment inside what is always a very neat and tidy Vicarage Road, as a long ball is played forward. Marshall comes outside his penalty area to loft the ball away. Met on the half volley by Cathcart, and I think Marshall's looked at what's happened previously in front of him and thought, I'll deal with it myself. Now Messina finding Ekong. As we look out from the Sir Elton John stand here, excellent view right over the action, just to the right of the halfway line, as Watford look to attack with Hughes. Now cleverly wide towards Firmino once again. He looked for João Pedro inside the area. He was on the move, but the ball just arcs beyond him, and it's out for a goal kick.
It's tough at the moment for Derby. I just wonder if they change their system, because they're pressing in a 4-4-2 and they're getting outnumbered on the first line, they're getting outnumbered in the middle. They're not getting enough protection to their full-backs, particularly on their left-hand side. So I just wonder if he changes his pressing system, goes with a front three and gets the midfielders to slide to protect and help the full-backs a little bit more.
Half an hour played. Watford leading here by 2-0. And they will go level with Brentford, who are currently second in the table, 4 points behind Norwich, as Byrne pings a ball in from the right-hand side, but it's blocked by Messina at the near post, and now Messina receives it back from Hughes, just in front of a huge canvas of Graham Taylor on the far side, in the lower tier of the Graham Taylor stand.
What a man.
Yeah.
What a man, what a fantastic manager, and what a brilliant job he did for Watford.
Well, there's a huge canvas which has one of his famous sayings on the far side: leave your mark at the club, not just by what you achieve, but how you achieve it, which really sums up him as a person and a coach.
Yeah, brilliant man. He obviously started his career at Lincoln City.
You and him both did great things with Lincoln City, and of course he moved on to Watford and achieved even greater things here. He did.
Remarkable career that took him all the way to the England job, and absolutely wrongly defined by what happened with the England job, because as a club manager, just brilliant. You know, to take a club from, I think, 18th in the 4th division, the old 4th division, when he took over, and took them all the way to the top of the old 1st division as well. Brilliant times for Watford, and a great football man, and someone that's sadly missed. Actually, where we live in Lincoln, just diagonally opposite is Graham Taylor Way. So you know.
Well remembered there as well.
Absolutely,
rightly
yeah.
so. Watford leading here by 2-0. And we'll be looking down and very pleased with what he's seeing so far here this evening with 32 minutes played. Firmino looking for Chalobah down the right. Everything for Watford and side, and I don't know whether they're targeting it or it just happens to be where Ismaila Sarr's standing.
Well, yeah, Ismaila Sarr is such a key player to them. He's like a magnet to the ball, isn't he? And, you know, Watford are trying to find him at every opportunity. I mean, I know I keep talking about Will Hughes, but his use of the ball thus far has just been outstanding. Short, medium and long-term range, been great, and he's given them such control in this game.
Here is Bird, one of the youngsters given the job of replacing him at Derby County. Bird on the far side, back in field towards Bird again, and we welcome listeners from TalkSport here to Vicarage Road, where Watford lead Derby by 2-0. 2 goals in 2 minutes around the 20-minute mark. João Pedro with the first, flicking in after a cross from Ismaila Sarr down the right-hand side, and then Will Hughes driving in from inside the penalty area against his former club after Derby failed to deal with the corner. But Derby coming forward now with Waghorn down the left. A high cross into the penalty area is overhit, and it's gone out on the far side for a throw-in. Danny Cowley, the former Lincoln and Huddersfield manager, is with me, and we've been very impressed by the fluidity of Watford's play so far.
Yeah, they've been absolutely fantastic. 13 days is a long time in football, and I watched them against Coventry, and they're playing in a 4-2-4, and they lacked identity, lacked a method. Since then, 3 games, an outstanding performance and win against Bristol City, a win against Preston, and tonight they've been excellent. 4-3-3 shape, dominated midfield. Will Hughes has made them tick, and Ismaila Sarr on the right hand side is a joy to watch.
And don't forget, you can listen to TalkSport 2 via your DAB radio, the free TalkSport app, or just get your smart speaker to play TalkSport 2. And the third test is live and exclusive on TalkSport 2, a day-night test from Ahmedabad. The series is 1-1, and our coverage starts 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Commentary of this game continues on TalkSport 2 now with 34 minutes played. It is Watford 2, Derby 0. It's Marshall. Clears downfield for Derby again. Wide towards this near side, and Waghorn. Buchanan. He's challenged by Sarr and he's given the ball away. Here is Cleverley. Now Will Hughes picks out Chalobah wide to this near side, and Sarr again. The early cross this time is blocked by Buchanan, and it's a throw into Watford on this near side, but the Rams are creaking once again.
Yeah, it's tough for Derby at the moment, for sure. Like I said, when you're the away team and you're in a difficult moment like this, you just need to see this period out. It's going to be interesting to see if they continue with this defensive system. It's obviously been really effective for them since Wayne Rooney has taken the role. Tonight they're just, like I said, they're getting overloaded on the first line, and they're also getting overloaded in central areas, and at the moment they can't stop the supply into Sarr.
Firmino will take a throw-in on this near side, and there's a problem for Ismaila Sarr. I think the chip from his undervest, the thing that tells you how far you've been running, has actually come out, and Firmino tried to put it back in, and then it popped out again from the top of his shirt, so it's been thrown to this near side and gathered by the assistant. So
it's a trick normally done by senior players that don't want sports scientists to know how little they've run in the game, but certainly
doesn't really apply to him, does it?
No. Well, I'd love to see his sprints and his top end speed, because he's frightening, isn't he? He's definitely the most athletic player in the Championship this season.
Well, his heat map is a fairly narrow channel on this near side, but it's devastating when he gets the ball, as Cleverley just loses out and Sarr tumbles to the turf on this near side. Now Waghorn back towards Edmondson with 8.5 minutes to play in the first half, and Watford leading here by 2-0. And just when it seemed they were beginning to slip out of the picture for automatic promotion with 2 points from 9 and some fairly dismal performances, this will be a third successive victory if it stays like this, and the situation would appear to be very, very different for them, and it just shows in the Championship you can't take anything for granted. We thought Norwich were falling away. They're now 4 points clear. Brentford losing back-to-back games after a 21-match unbeaten run. But Swansea look to be in a very good position with games in hand and very close to the top as well. Now Waghorn on this near side, challenged by Firmino, and the ball will spin behind, and it will be another Derby corner, and they need to make more of this one than the previous one.
They did. There was me talking them up from set pieces, and they've been such a threat from corners in recent games, and then they run a short one. See here, Byrne, who actually hasn't been taking them because obviously hasn't been in the team, he's come across to take this, so it'll be a right-footed in-swinger. Again, you see the Derby players congregating on the far elbow of the box.
And it's Byrne who does swing the ball in. Bachmann punches it goes up into the air and onto the roof of the netting. And Bachmann there came out, didn't really seem to know what he was doing, and he's picked up a bump as well, which I think may have been from one of his teammates.
Yeah, he just misjudged it in the wind. The in-swinging corner, he's almost come out too far, and he's punched it, and it's hit the back of his hand, and the ball's picked up backspin, and it's ended up on the top of the net.
Well, we spoke to him on TalkSport 2 before kick-off, and I asked him if the wind created any issues for him, and he said no.
Well, he should have caught that then.
Another corner which Byrne will take, and it's right under the crossbar once again, and he's lost it. And in the end, Derby County think they've scored, but Tim Robinson, the referee, has given Watford a free kick. Bachmann came flying out. He got nowhere near that, but the whistle went before the ball crossed the line.
Looks really soft to me on first viewing. I didn't see the foul that the referee sees.
Well, it was
really soft for me.
Wisdom was stood in front of Bachmann, and I cannot see what Wisdom did. Kazim Richards headed the ball into the back of the net. He was unchallenged, and Bachmann just came out with one fist around Wisdom, missed it, and I think Watford have really got away with one there.
They have without doubt. It's
cannot
really
see
soft.
what Tim Robinson saw there. I mean, we don't like criticising referees.
No, I think he's giving it against that Andre Wisdom backing in, but I don't think Andre Wisdom. I think he's in the space first, and I think he just uses his body. And Bachmann, the previous corner had found it difficult, and he found that one difficult as well. And certainly now, between now and the end of the game, I expect Derby now to be swinging them onto him.
Absolutely, because having punched the first one onto the roof of the netting, he tried to do almost exactly the same thing, and he couldn't get there. I mean, Wisdom stood his ground, but at what point is that a foul? If you just stand your ground inside the penalty area, he didn't move.
No, he didn't. It was weak from the goalkeeper, and the referee has let him off the hook. Sometimes we like to protect our goalkeepers, don't we? And yeah, certainly that's the case in this occasion.
4 minutes to play in the first half. Watford leading by 2-0. Colin Kazim Richards denied his 4th goal in 6 games, and he was making the point to Tim Robinson that he wasn't at fault. And Bachmann, who had a rather accident-prone debut in his Watford shirt, you may remember in the FA Cup last season, I certainly do, when Watford were 3 up against Tranmere and then came back to draw in the second half. And he's had to be very patient to get a run of games. In fairness to him, he has kept some clean sheets since he came into the side, replacing Ben Foster, but that maybe will give Derby a reason to believe they can get something from this game, even at 2-0 down. Yeah,
and they've been better in the last 3 or 4 minutes. Watford just kind of play in moments, don't they?
Cleverly with the challenge on this near side on Knight. And Cleverly is furious because he's shown the yellow card. I think he was just playing angry a few moments ago because his teammates weren't really holding the ball in that sort of area, and then he's gone straight through the back of Knight.
Yeah, they've just taken their foot off the pedal, Watford, and I think that's why Tom Cleverly is frustrated. He's saying that he's taking the ball, and I think he does take the ball, but he takes the man with it, and in modern day football that's a foul and a yellow card.
Buchanan will take the free kick, and we have 3 minutes to play in the First half which has not lacked talking points. Kazim Richards has to track back to the halfway line to control the ball as it holds up in the wind. Then he plays a ball inside the fullback looking for Roberts. Messina though will control and play it back towards Bachmann, who finds Cathcart on the edge of the area, and Watford have the opportunity to get themselves moving once again. And clean sheets have been a real bonus for Watford throughout the season. They've kept 15 in total so far this season. 7 1-0 wins, and they've also drawn 5 times 0-0 away from home. And they have been a difficult watch at times, but as Danny very eloquently said, in moments tonight they have been very, very good, but at times they do give the opposition chances to put them under pressure. And we saw Queen's Park Rangers win here recently by 2-1. They were out of the game, 1-0 down with 13 minutes to play, and then came back to score 2 very late goals. And Watford do have that Achilles heel, as Cleverley again slides in with a rash challenge on Knight on a yellow card. He won the ball on this occasion, but
he did, but he came off of his feet, and you've only got this time now, and you're sent off, and the dynamic of this game changes in a heartbeat. So he's an experienced player. He's frustrated. I think just the fact that the Watford players have just come off of it a little bit, and like I said, they do have this tendency to play in fits and starts, and Derby are finishing the half strongly.
Buchanan on this near side, challenged by Sarr, and then Buchanan penalised. It was a rash challenge from him just in front of us on Cleverley, and there may have been some retribution there as Tom Cleverley gradually gets to his feet and hobbles away, and Robinson will have a word with Buchanan, and he would be surprised if the yellow card isn't flourished here.
Yeah, I think Cleverley's being intelligent and trying to get Buchanan in foul trouble and a yellow card, because he knows he's playing against Ismail Sarr, and Ismail Sarr's difficult enough to play against without a booking. So it's going to be really, really tough for him, and he's going to, as a young player, he's going to have to really get himself together, get his frame of mind together, because he's going to have a tough second half now playing on a booking.
And there is not a huge amount of room either side of the technical areas, and Dean Whitestone, the fourth official, has just had to separate members of the backroom teams from both Watford and Derby, who were just having words which got rather heated. Cisco Munoz was also having his say as well. Wayne Rooney, in fairness, was trying to stay out of it. I think it was Liam Rossignol who was doing his bidding for him, and the fourth official then had to come out and try and calm things down.
Yeah, it always amazes me that fouls just in front of the technical area always tend to hold a higher tariff, and players end up getting booked as a consequence. If that foul had happened elsewhere on the pitch, I'm not sure it would have been a booking.
A minimum of 2 more minutes as Cleverley clips it over the top, looking for Chalabar, who has left Buchanan on this near side. Buchanan is isolated and outnumbered because Sarr can whip a ball into the penalty area, and Marshall just delayed a second, then came forward, fumbled the ball. João Pedro was almost onto it, and it's gathered by the Derby goalkeeper at the second attempt.
Yeah, Ismail Sarr is almost impossible to play, because if you sag off of him, he runs a space behind, and if you give him too much time and space, then he delivers like he just did there. So he's so difficult to play against when he's in this mood.
Buchanan wide towards Waghorn for Derby. And it's played down the line for Knight, who has gone beyond Ekong, cross into the area. Cathcart is there, and he booms the ball high into the yellow seats in the rookery end, and it will be another corner here for Derby, and Watford and Bachmann will know what's coming now.
He's been really good, Jason Knight. It's been a difficult half for Derby, but he's played with real energy, both in possession and out of possession, and he's been Derby's best player for me.
Byrne will take this corner. The previous 2 caused Bachmann no end of problems.
Just seeing the Derby players surround Bachmann now.
Whipped in by Byrne, and Bachmann on this occasion does well to claim with both hands inside the 6-yard area, and that won't do his self-confidence any harm at all.
He did really well, the young goalkeeper, to hang on to that. It was the right decision to catch. Derby will be disappointed they didn't get across the front of him, because he hasn't taken it high. He's taking it almost just under head high.
Now Shinnie has stopped Sarr on the far side. The Derby right, Roberts with the early ball forward, Waghorn in pursuit on the edge of the penalty area, goes for the first time lob, and it's just over the top. It was really good technique from Waghorn as the half-time whistle goes, the ball over the top, again drifting in the wind, and Waghorn tried to volley the ball coming over his shoulder as Backman advanced, and it was just too high. But it's been a fascinating first half in many ways. 2 goals in 2 minutes for Watford, putting them in control from João Pedro and Will Hughes against his former club. But a moment of controversy 4 minutes before half-time. Colin Kazim-Richards heading home a corner from Nathan Byrne, and Derby were penalised. A challenge from Andre Wisdom on Daniel Backman, which looked soft in the extreme. Half-time, Watford 2, Derby County 0. Thank you, Dan. And it's Derby who will get the second half on. Look to be changes to Derby in their pink shirts, shorts and pink socks, and wind is really whipping around. Vicarage Road now is stronger as it has been throughout the evening. Tim Robinson, our referee, gets the game underway. Watford in their shirts with black sleeves, black shorts and black socks. They're defending the Vicarage Road end away to our right hand side, kicking towards the Rookery in the second half. And the two teams again, Watford, Backman in goal. Sarr, João Pedro and Seymour in attack. Derby, Marshall in goal, Byrne, Wisdom, Edmondson and Buchanan the back four, Bird, Knight and Shinnie in midfield, Waghorn, Kazim-Richards and Roberts in attack. And Wayne Rooney sent his team out early for the second half. Danny, no changes, and we look at Watford saying that they played in moments, and the same could be said of Derby defensively. They had 5 minutes where they didn't defend very well and they found themselves 2-0 down.
Yeah, this is what this Watford team can do to you when they're in full flight. And yeah, it's been difficult for Derby defensively. You know, some 5 changes tonight. Some new partnerships on the pitch with George Edmondson and Buchanan, the left back, and they've certainly found it hard on that side of the pitch. It'd be interesting just to see how they set up. It looks like Patrick Roberts has gone more central at the start of this second half, but time will tell. Interesting to see if they still carry on pressing in the 4-4-2, or whether Derby look to press with a 4-3-3 shape and maybe protect young Buchanan a little bit more, particularly now that he's on the booking.
Well, Derby have failed to score in 10 of their previous 20 games, but Wayne Rooney's overall record has been very good so far, as Will Hughes is penalised for a challenge on the night, midway inside the Watford half, and Derby have a free kick. 46
minutes in, and that's the first time Will Hughes has given the ball away. Just a bad touch, ball came loose, and then he dived in and gave the foul away. But he's been impeccable to this point.
8 wins, 4 draws, 4 defeats has been Wayne Rooney's record so far, and he's carried them from bottom place to 6 points clear of the relegation zone. But the job is not yet done, as Byrne plays the kick high into the penalty area. Messina will rise to clear for Watford, and now Sarr on the breakaway looking to use his pace, but Roberts does well to find Shinnie, but he in turn only finds Hughes with the early ball over the top, and he got that all wrong, which is a real rarity, and so thrown on the far side. Commentator's curse, Mr. Cowley.
He's knocked it away twice in 47 minutes, but hasn't quite come out this half. But no, Derby need the next goal. That is obvious. I wonder how long Wayne Rooney will take to make some changes.
Well, he does have the Polish international Kamil Jóźwiak as a potential attacking option on the bench. Louis Sidley, the teenager who had such a good start in the team, scoring goals last season, is somebody else who could possibly come. Here is Messina for Watford, just in front of the home technical area on this near side. Roberts goes to ground to make the challenge, and it will be a throw-in for Watford, which Seymour will take with 3 minutes played in the second half here on TalkSport 2. And we have more PGA Tour golf coming up at the end of this game. The Genesis Invitational from the Riviera Country Club in California. Don't forget, the third test, live and exclusive to TalkSport 2, is a day-nighter in Ahmedabad, and our coverage gets underway 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning. So a bit of a lie-in for this test match, which will go on late into the night in India.
So again, pressing in the 4-4-2, they just can't get to Will Hughes at the bottom of midfield, and he keeps being able to receive the ball and start the attacks for Watford.
Now Chalabar over on the far side, the right once again. He's got support from Firmino. And here is Sarr, who receives the ball at walking pace, but that could quickly change. And now there's a dart from him down the line to win it back. And he looks to drive beyond Waghorn, and he almost did, and he left Waghorn clattering into the hoardings on the far side. Waghorn may have also picked up an injury, but Sarr again causing all sorts of problems.
Fantastic skill, just right on the byline, fakes to cross, and then just drags the ball inside and wraps it inside and just runs out of pitch. But he's great to watch, isn't he, when he's in this vein of form.
Watford apparently wanted £40 million for him during the transfer window. I mean, they paid over £20 million to sign him from Rennes in the Premier League. It's debatable whether he's doubled in value during a relegation season, but I suppose it's a seller's market in that sort of situation.
Yeah, well, in football you're worth what anyone else is willing to pay for you, and I think you have to credit him as a boy, because interest from Manchester United in the summer window can easily affect you and maybe change your mindset. And you know, he's been focused, and he's been a consistent performer for Watford.
Well, he scored twice last week in that 6-0 win against Bristol City, which could turn out to be a turning point in Watford's season, as Seymour gives the ball away cheaply to Byrne on this near side, just in front of us. Now Knight, but he's challenged by Seymour, who left something on him there, and Seymour, with his follow-through, almost caught Knight in the face.
Yeah, he's been frustrating this evening, Seymour. He's given the ball away too many times, and as a consequence, Watford haven't carried anywhere near the same threat on the left-hand side of the pitch. But he's been really in and out with his possession, and that no doubt is frustrating the Watford dugout.
51 minutes played, 2-0 the home side lead. But this game is not a done deal yet. Game day gets underway at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning here on Talk Sport 2, with back-to-back games. Championship, but two big ones as well. Significance at both ends of the table at St Andrews. Coventry meet Brentford with Adam Bridge and Chris Owellamo at 12:30. And then it's the big one at the bottom, a relegation 3 o'clock at Hillsborough, with Sheffield United playing Birmingham, watched by Ian Danta and Perry Groves, with the Premier League game also coming up in the evening at 8 o'clock, and it's another big relegation game, this time from the Premier League. Fulham against Sheffield United with Joe Shannon and David Connolly. Southampton against Chelsea and Everton against Liverpool. Two other Premier League games over on Talk Sport tomorrow, with Game Day Live bringing you all the goals as they go in. And the wind is so strong here now that the barriers keeping red zone apart from the rest of the stadium, the area where the players and officials go, and it's a bit of a hallowed area in football grounds, understandably at the moment. You have to have had regular testing to go into the red zone. Those barriers have been constantly blown down by the wind here at the moment, and the stewards are having to retrieve the fencing in various parts of the concourse just in front of us. As cleverly plays it back again towards Cathcart, and Kazim Richards makes the challenge, and Akon will find cleverly again. And
just watching the Watford midfield three, they're a really nice. They've got a really nice relationship, the three of them. Just the profiles of the players, all complement each other. And when I go back to the Coventry game, when I saw Watford playing in the 4-4-2, Chalobah had so much to do against the ball, having to continually have to slide across the pitch and protect the space that the wingers had left. He wasn't able to have the same control in possession, and tonight he looks so much more comfortable in this system.
And a corner has been conceded by Derby on the far side. Edmondson heading behind a cross from Sarr, and Will Hughes will take it. And any sort of in-swinger here could be a real test, but it's short too cleverly on the edge of the penalty area. The angle opened out for Hughes to whip in a cross, which was flicked on by Seymour at the near post, but now Waghorn will just hoof the ball clear into the Watford half, and Bachmann has come almost up towards the centre to gather the ball, plays a long high ball afar. which will to a couple of players and shake tablet to one or two formations as Edmondson.
Yeah, it's Shea given full set pieces at Derby. Does a really good job for them. You know, Derby again scored twice in the last two games from set pieces. He's got some clever ideas. I remember when my Huddersfield team played them last year, they had some clever ideas from set pieces, always asking questions of you. It's always interesting to see the dynamic of the management team and who takes responsibility for what. And you know, like I say, Shea does a really good job for them in terms of set pieces.
Now Waghorn on the far side delivers a cross in. It's blocked by Hughes. Waghorn will try and win it back, but Watford have done a good job of keeping Derby at arm's length since half-time. 55 minutes played, leading 2-0. Okong with a long ball forward. It's headed in field by Edmondson straight to Chalobah, and there could be an opportunity here for Chalobah to play that early ball forward. They're looking for Sarr in behind all the time, and on this occasion they almost found him, but Derby will clear. Now Roberts again, good ball forward to Knight, who's got Waghorn in space to the left hand side. Now Waghorn on the corner of the penalty area, whips a high cross towards the far post on Kazim Richards. Byrne will try and keep the ball in play, but he's unable to do so, and he's caught his ankle in the turf in his attempt to control the ball, and he's gone down in some pain.
It was a really good break from Derby. They found Knight just behind the midfield, the Watford midfield line, and you just wanted Jason Knight to drive at the goal and threaten the goal. I see so many times midfield players receive the ball behind the opposition's midfield, and they've almost got a preconceived idea to go wide, and you just want them just to threat the goal. You know, even if you just look at the goal, it just changes the way the opposition's defend against you. But he was so keen to play it out wide that he didn't actually carry the threat that he needed to. He needed to drive, step into the space, commit the defender, and then either go at goal or play out wide. And unfortunately, as a consequence, the Derby attack fizzled out.
And Byrne is just hobbling across towards this near side. It's a throw into Watford, which Messina will take, and Byrne is breaking into a jog, so he may be okay to continue. It's Jozwiak and Gregory, the players, who will be coming on for Derby.
Two good changes, in my opinion. Be interesting now to see what that does. I wonder if they go to 4-4-2 Derby, which they've been most comfortable in that formation of recent times. It will ask an awful lot of the midfield too, particularly Shinnie coming off, young Bird with young Jason Knight. It's going to be a huge ask for them in the middle of midfield, but certainly it should give them more threat at the top end of the pitch.
And Roberts, the other player to come off. So Shinnie and Roberts replaced by Jozwiak and Gregory, and Patrick Roberts done it.
Yeah, an enigma on the night, unfortunately. And I see a real technical ability in him, and I love the way that he moves. But I just don't see effectiveness. I don't see end product. I don't see him having enough impact on the game, and I think a lot of managers, and the reason why so many managers take him on loan, because they all see what he's capable of doing, and they all think they're going to be the one to get it out of him. But it's not happening for him at the moment, and you know, he's not young anymore. He's 24, and he's got to stay resilient. He's got to stay determined and try to find a way of getting his undoubted ability to affect football matches.
Dan Gosling will be on shortly for Watford to stiffen up their midfield following his recent move from Bournemouth.
It's not a bad sub, that, in the Championship, is it?
We spoke about Bournemouth having the strongest squad in the Championship. I don't think Watford are too far behind.
No, great options.
Yeah, Nathaniel Chalobah will come off. So they're just freshening things up alongside the captain, Tom Cleverley.
Yeah, he's been good tonight, Nathaniel Chalobah. He never seems to use him for more than sort of 60 to 70 minutes. So I don't know if that's something to do with the amount of games that he's played, but he always seems to start him, he always seems to bring him off, and I thought he was having a real impact on this game, but like we just said, Gosling's a great sub in the Championship.
59 minutes played. Watford leading here on TalkSport 2 by 2-0, and they'll be going level on points with Brentford who are playing at 12:30 live on TalkSport 2 at Coventry tomorrow. And the leaders, Norwich, are at home to Rotherham, who would lose at Bournemouth on Wednesday evening, but they did win their previous 3 away games. Paul Warne is leading the fight as they look to avoid yet another return to League One for the 3rd successive championship season. Now Okong on the far side, and he's challenged by Kazim Richards as he tries to clear, and it will be a throw into Watford on this near side. I was going to ask you, Danny, we saw Jay Given down there with the tablet. What's actually on the tablet?
That'll be organisation. That'll be some restarts information defensively and offensively. It might show a few little patterns in terms of the team's patterns of play and organisation with the ball. So yeah, it will just be giving the players some last bits of information, last bits of detail, because you know as a manager that obviously you have your game plan, meeting prior to the game, but sometimes the boys that are not starting don't always listen with the same level of intent. So you just have to remind them. And you actually see so many goals conceded through substitutes not doing their job properly, so it's vital that you get that information into them.
Knight with a high cross into the penalty area. Kazim Richards was challenging, but it's cleared. Kazim Richards wins it back and he volleys on the turn, and he appeals for a corner, but a goal kick has been given by Tim Robinson, and Colin Kazim Richards believes he's been on the end of 1 or 2 decisions this evening which haven't pleased him.
No, well that one went for him because it was a two-handed push in the back of the Watford centre half, and that led to his half chance really. He just took it on the chest and then wasn't able to get his hips around the volley, and it ended up going well wide of the Watford goal.
Now Messina.
Derby have just stepped on to Watford now, just pressing higher up the pitch. They were just sitting a little bit deeper and trying to stop balls being played through them, but with the score where it is and the game where it is at 60 minutes, they're now just stepping and playing a little bit higher up the pitch.
Now Bird plays it wide at the far Whitehall once again. Derby here have got 3 waiting for the cross inside the area. It's in on the overlap by Buchanan, but in the end Watford will clear. But here is Bird again, has support from Byrne to his right, and Byrne, a fullback who loves to attack, swings in the cross. It's headed away by Okong towards the far side, and it will be a throw-in to Derby County, who are just beginning to build up some pressure here 17 minutes into the second half, but they still trail by 2 goals to 0.
They are Watford typically just doing enough at the moment, and as a consequence Derby are starting to get some momentum, and if Derby can find the next goal, then it's going to be a really interesting finish to this game. Really interesting just to see Jason Knight, was pressing really high up the pitch, was joining Kazim Richards. He's now in a 4-4-2 formation and almost having to put the reins on himself and play with a little bit more positional discipline. And it's great, for a young player, for him as such a young player, the amount of experience he's gained this year, and being asked to in this game tactically adapt. It's such a fascinating watch, and it'll be such a great experience for such a young player.
Well, Derby won the Under-18 Premiership or Premier League a couple of seasons ago, and they performed very well in the UEFA Youth League last season against some of the top youth sides in Europe. They beat Borussia Dortmund by 4 goals to 1 at Pride Park, and a number of these young players are being given the opportunity by Wayne Rooney. The budget isn't huge, so as a result he is having to blood players, and of course it's good for them. They've got a manager who knows what it's like to play consistently as a very young player, because of course he was doing it at the highest level as a 16-year-old.
Well, he did it as a 16-year-old, as you say, and just lit up the Premiership as a Premier League as a 16-year-old. So he's lived it himself. So he'll certainly be able to give the younger players at Derby some good advice. But it's a brilliant academy, got fantastic training facilities, some really good coaches, and they've been able to consistently develop young players. And now, because of the situation at the club, these young players have got a clear pathway to the first team, and it bodes really well for Derby going forward. I've got no doubt doubts that they're going to stay in the division, and actually next year they're going to be in a really good place, because a lot of these young players are going to have played between 20, 30, even 40 games of Championship football, and that's going to hold them in really good stead, and I expect them next season to be a real threat in the division.
Byrne going to ground to challenge Seymour on this near side, and Watford have a corner with 64 minutes played, and they still lead here by 2-0 on TalkSport 2, the home of the EFL. The corner is played short by Seymour towards Cleverley. Cleverley now swings in the cross, and João Pedro again hooking the ball over his shoulder. He seems determined to score goals from all sorts of angles, and on this occasion it was just over the top.
Yeah, again he finds himself with space in the box. It was a short corner, a 2v1. Nathan was far too slow getting out for Derby, and they weren't able to equalise the numbers. Watford combination found Pedro, and Pedro just has that ability, even in a packed area, just to find space.
Messina will take a throw in now for Watford on this near side. As you can hear, the conditions are worsening. We had a very blustery start to the game, then the wind calmed down, but it's now back with a vengeance. So João Pedro complains to Tim Robinson. Should have had a free kick, but nothing's been given. Edmondson now plays it forward for Derby again, and it's sort of for a throw-in, which will be taken by Nathan Byrne, just in front of Cisco Munoz, who made his name as a flying winger in Rafa Benitez's Valencia team, which won La Liga back in 2004 and also picked up the UEFA Cup. But he's taken a roundabout route towards the Championship, winning the Georgian title with Dinamo Tbilisi. Watford do have a habit of picking up managers, leagues which you wouldn't anticipate. Here is Wackham going down as if he was fouled by Firmino, and eventually Tim Robinson, after a moment's hesitation, gives him the free kick.
Yeah, I think he bought that, used all of his experience, actually had a heavy touch and the ball had got away from him, and yeah, it was a soft foul. I really like Josiak actually. I like to see him out on the right. I think he carries real threat on either side of the pitch, and obviously a Polish international. He's done some great things for the Polish international team, and he's starting to have more and more impact in the Championship as the season unfolds.
And the free kick from Wisdom has drifted towards him. He's able to chest the ball down on the right hand side, delivers in a cross which is blocked by Messina, and it will be a corner kick for Derby on the near side. And as the wind strengthens, Martin Wagner, and then remember the fallibility shown by Bachmann under the high ball in the first half.
Yeah, definitely. The head conditions are awkward, and you can see the Derby players surrounding the goalkeeper.
Fizzed in towards the near post by Waghorn, headed away by João Pedro, back out towards the taker. Waghorn with another cross in, which is behind view, and it goes.
See deliveries there from Waghorn, just when you want him to beat the first man and put not able to, and then out him, and again the second delivery just lacked quality, and frustrating for Derby, because certainly they've gained territory in this game, and are starting to ask some questions of Watford.
Still goalless in the Premier League between Wolves and Leeds early in the second half at Holland. Watford leading Derby here. Derby may be disappointed with their overall response since half-time.
Interesting just to watch Watford. Sarr has played much more central in the second half, and surprises me because he was getting so much success in the first half.
But now he's got the ball in space, right-hand side of the penalty area, drifts beyond Bird and fires in the ball, left-footed, and it fizzes across the box and just beyond the angle. But once again, Ismaila Sarr in this sort of mood can be unplayable.
Again, I just see better for him. You know, you look at his profile and his athleticism and his speed. When he comes central, he comes into numbers. Cutting inside, unfortunately little bit wild, but
right hand side for Derby, which is longer than it will be. Waghorn will have to deliver better one than the previous corner, and Shay Given is telling the players Derby inside the penalty area to push high towards the far post. So clearly that's where the ball should be delivered here by Martin Waghorn, who will strike this left-footed into the 6-yard area. Jean Pedro again wins the header at the near post, and Watford have the chance to clear. But it's been given away by Knight. A burst from him down the left-hand side. A rather soft challenge from Sarr, who goes to ground, and then Sarr fouls Knight with a firmer tackle, and it's a free kick for Derby, left of centre, about 30 yards out, and this could be swung in by Josvi Waghorn.
yeah, an impetuous foul by an attacking player. Doesn't need to make that foul. There's no threat from the Derby team in that moment, but an unnecessary foul, and this is a good moment for Derby. It's interesting just to watch Gregory and Kazim Richards play together. They look a real handful. Gregory, his journey coming from Halifax on league and getting up to Millwall and League One in the Championship, and he's a really astute signing.
And the free kick is short to Kazim Richards, and before he could shoot, Tom cleverly closed the free kick down, and Derby have wasted piece opportunity.
Yeah, it was a set piece from distance. It was one that was off the track. It looked like they were trying to make a clever block on it. Cleverly, he was trying to pressure the ball, but the referee did one.
And Gregory, currently on loan from Stoke, he went there at the start of last season and has not really been able to replicate the form he showed at Millwall, of course, in a team which has often been struggling, although Michael O'Neill has got them sorted out in half of the table in the current campaign. Now Sarr again down the right hand side with it back to goal. Evanson just nil. Sarr is strong enough to stay on his feet. It's back towards on with 80 minutes to play here on Talksport 2. The Wootton Tunnel at Grid Road, where Watford lead Derby by 2-0. The clear backman we could see spiralling there in the wind as it just about reached the halfway line. Now Bird back towards Wisdom again, and Watford have used the elements far more effectively when they've looked to attack, whether they've been playing into the wind or with the gale in the first half, as Jean Pedro has now robbed Wisdom, and the ball is played again. Look,
yeah, what just can't get given in this half, can they? Being stop-starting in their performance, still looking for it on the counter-attack, but you just want them, with the quality of players that they have at their disposal, you just want them to control games for 90 minutes, and they're not able to do that at the moment.
It's now become a horrible night for defenders. The ball just died on Adam Messina there as he looked to judge a high ball forward. He had to stumble forward and head it into touch, and it will be a throw-in for Derby. Josviak will find Byrne, who goes down under the challenge of Gosling, but no free kick given. Hughes quickly find Pedro, and Ismail Assar look to lay it wide to this near side, but the ball was hit beyond Seymour, and it will be a throw-in for Derby.
Nice third man pattern there from Watford. Sarr coming inside, just couldn't quite make the final pass. I think if he'd have made that, they would have been right on the counter attack.
Really standing there, hands thrust deep into pockets. He's the 9th manager in 6 years at Derby since Nigel Clough's departure. Of course, he replaced Philip Cocu, who just never really got to grips with English football despite having such a strong managerial CV, and he was such a great player with the Netherlands, but the start of play at the start of the season simply didn't suit the personnel he had available to them. And
no, it was a really possession-based style, wasn't it? Which maybe doesn't suit the Championship. The Championship is such a frenetic league, such a transitional league, and he was asking his team to build, to have real control in games. It was always all about the positional attack. He almost took the counter attack out of the equation, and it was it's a great way of playing with really technical players, and certainly, you sort of like to Wayne Rooney. He came into the team last year, really benefiting from that style, and he certainly helped them last year. But probably just not quite right for the group of players that he had at his disposal.
They got the details wrong at times as well. We'll just watch Cleverly have support from Firmino on the far side. Now Sarr around the corner for Cleverly, who can burst into the penalty area, and it was an excellent ball across the 6-yard box, 3 yards out, but Seymour couldn't turn the ball into an empty net, and Watford will now make a double change.
Yeah, getting down this right-hand side, really good link play between Cleverly and Sarr, and a lovely cross, and Pedro had just stood still waiting for the cutback, where really you'd like your number 9 to get across the front now and make the hard yards.
Will Hughes now coming off, and it's Ben Wilmot who will come on to replace him, the central defender. So Watford could be going 3 at the back, as Ken Seymour is also replaced by Philip Zinkernagel, the Danish international signed from the Norwegian champions Bodø Glimt.
Looks like young Ben Wilmot's going to play centre midfield.
Yeah, interesting that.
It is, yeah. I've only ever seen him play centre half. He's had a really interesting career to this point.
Now a run down the centre for Kazim Richards, but Okong is able to clear only as far as the fairhead Jozwiak, who battles away with Zinkernagel, a player who's just come on, and Messina does well to slide in and avoid the corner kick, but it's a throw into Derby.
Yeah, Ben Wilmot started off at Stevenage, obviously got the move to Watford, and then found himself on loan at Udinese before coming back to Watford this season.
Yeah, they did spell at Swansea as well, as the cross in from Byrne. Oh, it's an own goal, and Derby are back into the game. It was Nathan Byrne with a devilish cross, and Troost-Ekong, unable to get out of the way, ballooned the ball high into the roof of the net, and with 14 minutes to play, it is suddenly a contest once again. Watford 2, Derby 1.
Game on. Disappointed with the goalkeeper. He just got stuck on his line. It's a great cross from Nathan Byrne. Stands it up. To be fair, credit Kazim Richards, just getting across the front now. That's what you want your number 9 to do. It stopped them clearing the ball at the near post. But Bachmann, he must come for that for me.
Now Cleverly goes for goal from inside the centre circle, but never really got hold of the effort, but it was worth an effort in these sort of conditions. It was into that corridor of uncertainty, wasn't it, for Bachmann, and he just, having come for things and not got there, he stayed on his line, and Derby have scored. It's keeper's lot, I suppose. Yeah,
the overhead conditions are difficult. He struggled under a couple of high balls in the first half, didn't he? And he was hoping that the Watford defenders would deal with it, but they didn't. And now the dynamic of this game has changed. It's going to be interesting now. I'm just watching the Watford bench, and they're really encouraging their players to step up as Derby are looking to build their attack.
Deadlock's also been broken in the Premier League. Adama Traore with his first of the season. Wolves lead Leeds by 1-0 at Molineux, and that would be an important win for Wolves to build on recent successes they've had at home, as Dan Gosling has just been caught by Bird, and it will be a free kick for Watford. And they've just not switched off, but just taken the foot off the gas, Watford, haven't they?
They have. I've seen this from them a lot this season. I don't see 90-minute performances. I just see them coming in and out of games, and when they're hot, they're really hot, and when they're not, I suppose they're not.
Free kick from Cleverly, high to the far post, headed back in field by Messina, and Waghorn is struggling to get the ball away. It's Wilmot who fires him the shot, but the whistle had already gone for a free kick, and there is more urgency about Derby now, because they can sense a point in this game with 11 minutes to play, trailing by 2-1.
Well, 2-0 is always a dangerous lead for teams, and if you do stop playing, which Watford have, and then the opposition score, then they have real momentum going in, with 10 minutes to go.
Now Gregory lays it wide to Jozwiak on this near side for Derby. Byrne is steaming forward on the overlap, and Jozwiak tried to find him, but at times tonight the key passes for Derby haven't been good enough, and that was a case in point there as Zinkernagel almost runs into Wayne Rooney inside the technical area as he tries to keep the ball in play. And Jason Knight will then go into the Watford bench to try and win the ball back, and Dean Whitestone ensures he can re-emerge back onto the field of play, the fourth official. It's been a lively night down there for him at times. Now Byrne with a pass which almost goes straight to Sarr. Here is Edmondson, and Jozwiak is now a real threat for Derby down their right hand side, but the ball forward from Edmondson is cut out by Gosling. Knight does well to dig the ball out to the midfield for the Rams. And here is Edmondson one again. It's drifted wide towards Jozwiak, but again it's cut out, this time by Messina. Up and under to find João Pedro, who controls the ball with his back to goal on his chest. He was Edmondson, but Watford are allowed to continue. Zinkernagel, now João Pedro on the edge of the penalty area, scored from exactly that position against Derby in October, but this time the shot right-footed and over the top. And here is a change for Derby. Martin Waghorn replaced by Louis Sibley. Fresh legs in attack.
Yeah, another young Derby player coming through their academy, brings an abundance of energy. Really liked his performances at the back end of last season. Remember him scoring a hat-trick at the back end at Millwall, I believe.
On his debut, yeah.
Yes, yeah, not easy to score a hat-trick at Millwall. And yeah, he's going to bring some real energy and some quality as well. And you know, the momentum is with Derby.
Into the final 9 minutes here on 2. He's summed up control. Now Derby are pushing hard to get something. Jozwiak turns and finds Sibley. They poke back towards Jozwiak. Very important intervention there from what I think down and looking back towards Marshall, who quickly space of time for Sibley to gather. The Graham Buchanan on the overlap just runs into Firmino, but Firmino is rather boxed in by the corner flag and just lofts the ball down the line and out of play for a throw-in. Full Derby here with 8 minutes to play. There for now. Plays it behind you. The play for a throw.
They get frustrated. They want aggressively, and the Watford are not able to find the energy to do that. You have to be fair to the players. It's been an incredible schedule, hasn't it? You know, teams have credit to them. I was travelling to do during tough ask. I mean, it's the Premier League where you normally play Saturday. A lot of these Watford players are used to.
There is more tetchiness around the technical areas as Derby win a throw-in on this near side. There is no room at all down there, and Liam Rosenior in particular, and a member of Xisco Munoz's backroom team, they are constantly digging into each other. Now Sibley has space on the far side for Derby. Okong will try and make the challenge, and he's blocked it, and it will be a corner, and this is an opportunity for Byrne to drift in.
Backman is looking smaller and smaller to me in that Watford goal as this game unfolds.
He's a big lad as well. I spoke to him before kick-off, and he's a very confident individual in the right way, but at times tonight he has looked, you know, as somebody who is very difficult under the high ball.
He's found it difficult in these overhead conditions.
Byrne will take the corner. It's another in-swinger right into the zone area, and it's almost in. It's hit the crossbar. Backman somehow paws the ball away. Now Sibley, and it's cleared by João Pedro, and Nathan Byrne almost scored direct from the corner. Now it's wide to him on the far side again, and he's offside, and somehow Daniel Backman managed to keep that out.
Right-footed in-swinger from Nathan Byrne. It looks like it's going in. It hits I'm not sure if it's the goalkeeper or the junction of the post and the crossbar. I think it's the goalkeeper. I think he does ever so well, you know.
I think there was a bit of post there as well.
Yeah, I've been critical of him today, but I think he does enough to stop that going in.
Turned it onto the inside of the post. He went for it with both fists, and it then ricocheted into the 6-yard area, and nobody in the pink shirt could get the crucial touch.
It was an incredibly difficult ball to deal with. It's just interesting to watch the dynamic of this game. Watford now are not building, they're kicking, and they're playing for the end, and that can be a really dangerous strategy.
5 minutes to play. Watford 2, Derby 1 here on TalkSport 2. A high ball into the area looking for João Pedro for Watford. Almost finds Gosling, but it's Bird who does very well to win the ball back from João Pedro and then clear it high up to the halfway line. Sibley again tangling with Cleverley, but he's gone beyond Cleverley, who is on a yellow card. Cleverley makes the challenge. It's a throw into Derby, and Cleverley needs to be careful because he almost throws the ball away there, and of course he is on a yellow card, and he's very annoyed with the way Watford are playing here. But there you can hear the desperation in both technical areas just beneath us as Steve McLaren just gets up to have a word with one of the Derby analysts who are sat behind us about the Sir Elton John stand. Xisco Munoz is really micromanaging now on the edge of the technical area, and Wayne Rooney is doing likewise for Derby.
Having lived that stress myself, it's lovely to be sitting up here as a neutral. It's just so animated, both technical areas, and they're desperately willing their players on, and they can feel the where this game is at. It's tantalising, and they're just trying to drive their teams on.
Well, Xisco Munoz now knows this is a really key time. 4 minutes to play. His side, who've led for 2-0 for much of the game, have now been pegged back to 2-1, and they can't afford to drop points here at home, having rebuilt their challenge in the last week or so. Two crucial games coming up for Derby County, home games as well against Huddersfield and Nottingham Forest, two of the sides around them. They may regard a point here as something of a bonus, but it's on the cards now as Buchanan brings the ball down on the far side. The Watford people around us were convinced he used his hand, but he's allowed to continue. Now Wisdom, with his shaven head glinting under the floodlights, plays it wide towards Knight, and Nathan Byrne again picking it out Edmondson.
You have to credit the Derby team, showed real resilience and determination in this second half to keep going.
And the ball is swung to this near side, and Byrne is just unable to keep the ball in play, and it will be a throw-in for Watford, and they're purely in the game of management now in terms of the watch and the overall situation as they just try to see this game out. It's been a very uncomfortable last 15 minutes or so. Messina throws it down the line, headed infield by Knight, and then Wilmot, who's almost a third central defender now, came on as a holding midfielder as Watford look to drive forward and try and get further up the field as Marshall now clears long downfield for Derby once again. Kazim Richards will leap with Messina, who does well to win the ball. Messina's gone down clutching his face, and then Tim Robinson will wave on the medical team, but I think a couple of people around the Derby bench thought that Messina maybe made something up, although Kazim Richards did seem to catch him rather forcefully.
I thought Kazim Richards caught him late actually, and I was surprised. There wasn't too much in it, was there, when I'm looking it back, but it's still a foul. But I don't think it's been given as a foul, so it's going to be interesting how this game will be started.
I don't think Watford will be giving them back the ball. If they do, they'll be smashing it straight out of play in this sort of situation. And
well, there's not been too much love lost between the two teams.
No, full time will be interesting around the technical areas, I think.
Yeah, but it's been passionate down there for sure.
Liam Rosenia is continuing the conversation with Xisco Munoz's first team coach. And there's a clash of cultures, let's say, down there at times. Messina's back on the field and he sprints back into position as play continues now. Edmondson finding Sibley on the half-turn midway inside the Watford half, and Bird has found Jozwiak on the edge of the penalty area, wide towards Byrne again. It's another dangerous cross into the penalty area, nodded down by Gregory, but he was heading away from goal at the far post, and it was gathered in the end by Bachmann as we enter the 90th minute.
Yeah, Nathan Byrne has got down the right-hand side in his second half and delivered some good crosses into the box. Gregory just found a little bit of space at the back post, but wasn't able to get the purchase needed to direct it at goal and cause the Watford goalkeeper a problem.
Coventry against Brentford coming up on TalkSport 2 tomorrow at 12:30, followed by Sheffield Wednesday against Birmingham City. Two massive clubs, both in the relegation zone in the Championship. All eyes will shortly be on the fourth official, Dean Whitestone. Wayne Rooney just checks how much added time there will be.
I think Wayne Rooney will be pleased with the Derby performance second half. He'll be pleased with the response. He'll be pleased with the energy that they've shown, the determination and resilience that they've shown. They've had difficult moments in this game, but they've come through them. Probably be a little bit frustrated with just the technical the technical efficiency of his team, particularly in the vital moments.
There will be a minimum of 5 more minutes, so plenty of time here for Derby to snatch an equalising goal. We have PGA Tour golf coming up at the end of this game, the Genesis Invitational from the Riviera Country Club in California. On Wednesday, 8 o'clock, live and exclusive on TalkSport 2, the start of the third test between India and England, the day-nighter in Ahmedabad. As a free kick's been given now, Nathan Byrne will be shown a yellow card as well as he clashed with Zinkernagel, although Watford did have the ball and Gosling was in space down the left.
Yeah, I'm really surprised the referee didn't play the advantage there. They had a 1v1 moment, Watford. They had numbers in the box. Be disappointed for it to be pulled back.
Cleverly will take the free kick. João Pedro is on the edge of the penalty area, but Watford are not committing too many other bodies forward. Led short by Cleverly. Now Zinkernagel down the left, infield again to Wilmot, who plays a high, expansive ball, looking for Ismail Assar, who controls the ball on the chest with the pink boots, finds Firmino, clip back over the top, looking for Sarr again. Buchanan will shepherd him towards the corner flag, which is where Sarr looks to go anyway. Now Gosling has support from Firmino, and Watford just looking to play keep ball, but in the end a player has gone down on the far side, and I think a free kick's been given to Watford. Yeah, it's been better from Watford in the last couple of minutes. They've just got some control in the Derby half. They've moved the ball quite quickly. Derby, in their desperation, are just over-committing, and they've started to give some fouls away, and this is the most control Watford have had in this second half, if we're honest. Ismail Assar was the player who was bowled over, so it will be a free kick for Watford, and we're into the second minute of added time here, and they have Derby where they want them at the moment, deep inside their own territory, and Derby will look back on the opportunities they've had to get back into this game. The corner kick which was clipped onto the near post by Bachmann, and the free kick here is played short. Gosling by the corner flag, but it's given away briefly to Knight, but Firmino has it back, and now Gosling and Sarr again will try and cook up something by the corner flag. It's Sarr who breaks into the penalty area. Zinkernagel, left foot shot from him as a trundler into the arms of Marshall, who quickly bowls it out to this near side, and Wisdom. Derby scored deep into added time on Tuesday at Wickham. Sorry, Don.
Watford are just looking to play triangles in the corner of the Derby's half. Ismail Assar, I think, got bored and then started to go on a mazy dribble, and it's ended up now with Derby getting the ball back, and now Derby finding themselves in Watford's half again. Now
Kazim Richards tries to lay it wide to Byrne on this near side, but a Watford player just got a boot in, but it's only cleared as far as Wisdom. He goes back towards Marshall again. We're into the fourth minute of added time. Watford 2, Derby 1 here on TalkSport 2. Marshall clears downfield again, flicked on by Gregory down the centre. Cathcart with a complete miss kick. Kazim Richards now will allow the ball to drift behind, and right at the end of this game, it's another corner here to Derby.
A big moment this. The delivery is so important. It's interesting. It looks like Byrne's going to hit an outswing, and they've used in-swingers for the majority of the night. Waghorn obviously has gone off now, so it's going to be a burnout swinger.
Nathan Burns' corners have caused so many problems for Watford throughout this game. Now in the 94th minute, he will take another one. High towards the far post again, it's headed away unchallenged. Knight will try and control, but then the ball bounces over him, but he returns and hooks the ball towards the edge of the penalty area. It's flicked on towards Kazim Richards. A Kong will clear. Edmondson now in space. Wide on the left-hand side for Derby. Back again towards Buchanan. Down the line for Edmondson. And Watford continue to close down the option of a cross. It's Edmondson who will cross the ball into the penalty area. Now Jozwiak controls at the far post. Two Watford players around him, but Jozwiak wins it back, plays another cross in which hits Messina, and it's another corner now as we head towards the 95th minute.
Watford have got really negative. They brought Wilmot on for Hughes, and they've lost all control in this game. I can understand why they wanted to do it to stop the direct play of Derby, but it hasn't worked.
Marshall, the goalkeeper, is forward here. He leaps forward. Oh, it's been missed by Backman. High across the face of goal again. Marshall still challenges for it, and it's headed behind, and it's another corner. Chaos here at the end of this game.
Massive confusion with David Marshall nearly getting on the end of that second phase. Derby pushing really hard here. Watford hanging on for dear life.
Simply with another corner. Poor delivery towards the near post. The full-time whistle goes, and somehow Watford have held on to win this game. 3 successive victories. They move level with Brentford, who are second in the Championship. It's only a second defeat in 7 games for Derby. The damage done for them. 2 goals in 2 minutes midway through the first half from João Pedro and Will Hughes. An own goal from William Troost-Ekong gave Derby hope, and they came very close to an equaliser in the closing stages. But despite the eccentricities of their goalkeeper, Daniel Backman, Watford have held on to win this game. It is finished. Watford 2, Derby County 1.